I am so excited to have my next guest back on the program. She has a new album out called Liminal Space, the one and only mxmtoon.
Thank you for having me back. I'm excited.
Hello. It is incredibly wonderful to have you here. And also, it's so great to see you.
I'm so happy to be back. I mean, it was like, it always feels very grounding to be able to like talk with you again and like see the difference of perspective from show to show. And I'm really excited. Tonight's going to be really special.
Yeah. The last time we did this on camera was literally weeks after you graduated or what have you.
It's crazy. Like,
Rickshaw Stop?
Yes, such a different vibe. I mean, definitely compared to the Warfield, but yeah, a very different era of my life. And it feels really surreal to look back on that and get to see it then versus now.
Do you ever watch old videos of yourself like that?
Yes, more than I'd like to admit. I think because there's a point where I was like, no, I never want to watch those ever because it's too cringe-worthy. It'll be like looking at my past self. But I think it is like, now I've been doing it long enough to be able to have the perspective of like years in between one thing versus the other. It definitely is cool to go back and be like, oh, it was just such a different moment of my life and lived a lot more since those parts.
You're telling me.
Cool. Yeah.
We're first of all, for those that are watching, this is the Warfield, one of the largest venues in San Francisco, right? In terms of stepping up venue to venue as you tour and grow throughout your career. Rickshaw Stop is kind of where people get started.
Yeah.
What, 200-person venue?
Oh my
something
gosh,
like
probably
that.
something like that.
And a lot of your high school friends were at that show.
I know, so it was just like, okay, how many people can I fill the room with who I know and in the Bay Area and everything. Still the case tonight in the Warfield. But like, it's definitely so cool to be able to just see it, like such exponential growth in terms of venue size is unreal to me. It's really, really cool.
For perspective, you left.
Yeah.
You moved all the way across the country, 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
To become your own person, New York City.
I know.
The Big Apple, the bright lights.
Oh gosh, and I did it for 5 years and I just moved last year to Nashville. And so I'm slowly maybe making my way back towards the West Coast, but it's definitely nice to be able to come back every single time. I feel like my appreciation for the Bay Area has only grown as I've experienced harsher climates and weather in the East Coast. So yeah, happy to be able to come back any opportunity I can get.
Yeah, the life in New York City can be very daunting.
Yes, for
especially when you go and chase your dreams, you have a career and all those things. What was it like first time moving over there?
It was so scary. I mean, I've lived my whole life in the Bay Area, and so my comfort bubble is my whole community was here when I first moved to New York, and New York is a lot. It's just like you think you're prepared coming from the Bay Area, and I've gone to school in San Francisco, and I was around on BART, and I've taken public transportation, and I had street smarts, and I went to New York and felt completely like out of my element, even though I still grew up in an environment that might be as similar as you could get to New York City. That's not New York, and but it took me a long time to adjust, and then unfortunately, the pandemic happened like 3 months after I moved. And so my understanding of the city too was completely shaped by just like this globally traumatic event. And so I think that I really, after 5 years of living there, even in my 5th year, was still trying to figure out like, what's my relationship to this city like? And ultimately, I loved living in New York, but I think I realized too that it wasn't for me.
Did you find it more isolating in New York than, let's say, if you were living in Oakland in your own place?
I think so. I mean, I loved New York, and I think part of the reason I did love it was because of how an introvert can still be around people all of the time. And I loved being able to go out on a walk during the day and be like, nobody cares about me. Nobody is going to get in, my business or anything. And also at the same time, I think it did make me realize like, oh, like I am around all of these people all of the time, and I have my friends in the city and everything. But yet still, like, you can feel really lonely when you're amongst so many people that are all living their independent lives. And I just don't know if I found my footing with like community the way that I really wanted to in New York City. So yeah, I definitely think you can feel pretty isolated even when you're around a lot of people. Yeah.
So obviously a lot of this material starts to make sense when you listen to it.
For sure.
I am in love with a lot of these songs, especially a really heartwarming song like VHS. That really hit home for me because I still have VHS tapes with me and my family and when I was a kid and what have you. And it's very introspective.
Yeah.
How did your parents take to that song?
Oh my gosh, I think my mom was just like, this album means as much to them as it means to me, I think, because so many of the songs are really about directly kind of addressing my relationship to them, and not just to them, but like their relationships to their parents. I think like so much of my album in Liminal Space is really about the cycles of generations, and a song like VHS is really special to my mom because she you know, I grew up watching her look at photos that her mom had taken of her when she was a younger kid. And I think it's just really beautiful to pay attention to how cyclical everything is in our lives. So my parents reacted really positively to that song. I think like I've always written music about them, and I think this album is really, truly about them. And I'm glad that they like it. Thank God, you know?
Is there a song where your mom kind of scratched her head? She's like,
Oh
Maya,
my gosh.
I don't know about this.
The one that was definitely the hardest to share was Now's Not the Time. And I think, you know, that song is really about addressing like not just my mom, but also like her mom. And so it was tricky. I think coming from like an Asian American background too, like the kind of generational trauma sometimes that can happen in the matriarchal perspective of like mothers and daughters and grandmothers. And I definitely grew up embedded in that. And so writing a song like Now's Not the Time felt so scary to me to make a song that maybe wasn't 100% like positive about my relationship to family. And I love my family more than anything, but that doesn't take away the complexities of the relationships that you have with your relatives. And so I remember sharing Now's Not the Time with my mom and being like really nervous about it because I was like, I love you. Like that doesn't take away any of that. And she heard it and was just like, we both cried together. And I think it was a really healing moment for our relationship to each other to be like, yeah, it's okay for these things to be complex. It's okay for them to not be, you know, completely positive or 100% in like golden rays of sunshine. That's not how family works. And
that was another highlight from the album for me.
Thank you.
You really know how to tug those heartstrings.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I try my
Thanks
best.
for making me cry on my way
You are welcome,
to my mom's house. I was going to a party, and instead I made a U-turn. I'm like, I'm going to go see my mother.
Pull up, I need to pull over for a
Yes.
second.
I need to FaceTime my mom. Obviously, your perspective is shaped by what your experiences are in life and things. And I recall a video that you uploaded onto YouTube where you were lamenting your life as a 22-year-old.
Sucks.
Really giving it to Olivia Rodrigo.
Absolutely. No. Oh my gosh. No.
That's a joke, of course.
Absolutely.
But you were really going into that wormhole of people that are going through life at this period of time, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the age that may be, where you're questioning your place in family, your career, society, and all those things. Was that kind of the seed for when all this started?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I think I was in a really big transitional moment of my life, like not just when I made this YouTube video you're talking about, but like, yeah, the YouTube video is called Being in Your 20s Sucks. And I think I was in a very deep part of my life where I was struggling so much with like feelings of envy and being like, I don't know if I'm in the right place in my life right now. And you can look around and even someone like me who's been so fortunate and privileged to be able to be in a position where I get to make music and share it with people online, still look in the landscape of pop stars around me and see someone like Olivia Rodrigo and be like, like, does she know something that I don't? Like, am I missing something? And is there something I could be doing better or different or anything? And so feeling really lost, but I think that's also just a very natural part of being in your 20s, no matter what position you're in, whether it's someone who's on a stage performing to people or if you're someone who just recently graduated from college. I think that like it's very natural to be lost. And so that was really what I was dealing with and trying to figure out and parse through exactly the emotions that I was experiencing at that time of being like 22 and being 23. I think specifically those ages contributed a lot into figuring out what the next album was going to be about. And so, yeah, that's how Liminal Space was born, was out of a lot of self-exploration and uncertainty. And
we did a lot of that during quarantine lockdown.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I think I still am reeling from it. Yeah.
It's coming up on the 5-year anniversary here, so that's why I'm bringing it up. It's like, it's a flashback, and it feels like it was just 2 years ago or 1 year ago.
It literally does. It was like this null space that it felt simultaneously like 50 years long and also like 2 weeks. And if I look back on it, I'm like, was that even real? Or gosh, it's just crazy.
What's your relationship with social media, especially how you were a YouTuber vlogger, really created a community there, and now have seen TikTok do its thing, and then a new community mushroom?
Gosh, it's a lot. I mean, I can't believe how much social media has expanded even since our last conversation with each other. Like, it's crazy to think about how I felt like I was like, yeah, I'm doing everything, and like, what possibly else could be added onto that? and TikTok has, just gotten so much bigger than I think we ever realized, and then I got banned, and then da-da-da-da-da. I think now as an adult, like I was a teenager when we first talked, I think I've learned that social media is something that I still enjoy as like a user, and I absolutely want to use in my job and career, but it can't be the forefront of everything I do, because I think we're so consumed by it nowadays that like everyone is a content creator to a certain extent. And so I have to figure out, how do I separate my work from also taking care of myself as like a person outside of my screens. And I think what I've definitely wanting to put more of an emphasis on is like making more effort to be in my in-person life. And I think in the last 5 years of my life, and especially with the pandemic and everything, like it was hard not to just be online. And so figuring out a way to break past that a little bit and grow up. Yeah.
So fewer dancing videos. Maybe some book talk videos. Yeah. And cooking as you start to hit.
Absolutely. Yep. I think you're totally right on this. Yeah.
You said you're moving to Nashville, or moved to Nashville.
Moved to Nashville.
When was this?
About like 4 months ago, I think.
Wow. Yeah. I like how this is also kind of intersecting with I Hate Texas. So you weren't going there, but also the influences and kind of the sonics. Opening that up.
Absolutely. I've been so lucky. I think part of the reason I moved to Nashville is because I genuinely love that city. I've been working there since 2020 when the pandemic started. Like, I remember being in Nashville, and it was like my last week of sessions before the world shut down. We're all in Nashville, and I was like, something feels crazy here. But I've been working on music for like every single project since Dawn and Dusk has been in Nashville, recorded and written in that city. And so yeah, I think it undeniably will be influenced by the fact that country music has permeated that city, and there's no way to not be impacted by it. So I take it, and I'm excited by it. And obviously writing a song like I Hate Texas would not have been possible if I wasn't around the vibes of Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm curious to see how that will impact future songs too.
That's so fascinating.
You look at me and you're like, okay, Chinese mixed race girl from the Bay Area, she'll be making country music. Yeah.
That's why I'm bringing it up. And to be fair, full disclosure, I go to Austin, cover festivals and things. I've been to Nashville, Bonnaroo, and I stick out like a sore thumb at Stagecoach.
Hey, it's okay, me too. Yeah.
So I look forward to your country era.
I'm glad. Okay, at least one person's on board. It's good. Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
So great to catch up with you. And
great to talk with you.
Continued success.
Thank you so much. Happy that we got to chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
mxmtoon right here on B-Sides.